The woman was about to go crazy. The girl she once bullied years ago had grown up and become her daughter's teacher. The moment she heard the news, she exploded with anger, sped all the way to the school, terrified that if she was one step late, her daughter would suffer. But the teacher no longer bothered pretending. She openly admitted she had come back for revenge. The woman arrogantly threatened that she would regret it, but as she was leaving, she saw the group chat of the old bullying clique. They were talking about how their high school teacher had suddenly died. The woman looked back at the teacher, suspecting the teacher's death had something to do with her, because back then she had bullied the teacher relentlessly. That night, she waited anxiously for her daughter to come home. The moment they arrived, she took off the girl's coat to check her body, asking if anyone had bullied her or if the teacher had burned her. But the daughter's innocent reply stunned her. She thought, if my daughter ever learns what a monster I used to be, she'll think I'm a terrible mother. The next day, she went to the principal and tried to bribe him to fire the teacher. But the principal said she was personally recommended by a board member, nothing he could do. In truth, the teacher had photographed the board member's affair with his driver and used it to force her way into the school. The woman then tried to investigate the teacher's teaching credentials. The principal said she was exceptionally qualified, and teachers transferring from public to private schools was rare. Meanwhile, her little daughter was arguing with classmates about color issues. Turns out she's red-green colorblind. This made the teacher pause in thought. When she saw the girl's mother, she deliberately placed a pair of scissors on the girl's shoulder, as if provoking her. The woman confronted her directly, offering money any amount, as long as she stayed away from her and her daughter. But she replied that she didn't care about money. She wanted her tormentors to live in fear every day. Then she revealed her secret, which made the woman panicked. Before she got married, she had slept with a particular man, and her daughter's colorblindness was inherited from him. She went to her husband, suggesting sending their daughter abroad. Her husband refused, saying the girl was too young. She then asked to switch her daughter to another class, saying the teacher seemed mentally unstable, hoping her husband would use family connections. But he said he needed to see how unstable this teacher really was before stepping in. She hurriedly said it wasn't necessary, claiming she was just stressed. Her odd behavior made her husband suspicious. What she didn't know was that her daughter's teacher was the same woman her husband had quietly admired for years. The teacher had long known he loved Go, so after he married the woman, she began studying the game. She visited the park daily to watch elderly masters play, where she met Dr. Ju, who liked her and offered to teach her Go. Years passed, and teacher's skills improved rapidly. Using this skill, she finally caught the man's attention. Back in high school, jealous because the teacher was prettier, the school bully poured coffee on her books, dragged her to the gym, beat her, and forced her to crawl on the floor like a dog. Furious, the teacher called the police, but the bully's family was wealthy, so they were only lightly warned. The teacher didn't comfort her. Instead, she scolded her for making a fuss. Back at school, the teacher was dragged to the gym again and burned on the arm with a curling iron until her skin blistered. At the infirmary, Nurse Sui wanted to report it, but the bully's leader was resting inside, so no one didn't dare act. That night, the bullies broke into teacher's rented room, stole the money she hid in a rice jar, and forced her to dance for them while they drank. THD woman noticed the teacher's smooth legs and grew jealous, then burned her again with a hot iron. When she returned to the infirmary, she learned the nurse had been fired. Broken, she stood on the rooftop wanting to end her life, but couldn't jump. She cried, pressing her bloodied hand against her burns, then lay on the cold floor, as if that could numb the pain. The next morning she applied for withdrawal from school, stating she was a victim of bullying and providing evidence. The teacher worried it would ruin her career and insisted it was just horseplay. When the girl asked whether she'd say the same if it were her son, the teacher snapped, took off her precious watch and slapped her hard, then chased her down for more beating. The school called the girl's mother. The teacher and Yenjin's mother offered money if she changed the withdrawal reason. Without hesitation, the girl's mother signed. She even canceled her rental and threw her belongings outside. Seeing her mother's signature, she fell into complete despair. She worked odd jobs to survive. Every night her scars itched, and the trauma kept her awake. She vowed to take revenge. She approached Yenjin and the others the next day, not asking for money, only smiling eerily before disappearing from their world. She began earning money at factories and studied alone in her dorm. 2 years later, she got into college, then passed the exams to become a public school teacher. She became the homeroom teacher of her enemy's daughter. Her revenge finally began. Years ago, burned with curling irons, gagged for making noise. Dong-eun had reported it to the teacher, but was told she was too dramatic, and was beaten again. Eventually, she was forced to drop out. Time passed. Bully leader Yenjin married a wealthy heir. Dong-eun blessed her from afar, thinking the higher you climb, the harder you fall. The second bully, Sarah, became a drug-addicted painter. The third, Haijong, became a flight attendant. A male classmate, Jae-jun, inherited family wealth and traveled the world. Another follower, Myung-oh, became Jae-jun's driver. Dong-eun spent years gathering information and was now ready. Her first revenge target, the homeroom teacher. She befriended the teacher's son, Chul-song, who was preparing for the civil service exam, and crafted her plan. Visiting their home, she pretended not to know they were related and even thanked the teacher for raising her. The teacher, suffering from asthma, thought she was mocking her and attacked her with a flower pot. Chul-song stopped her, but neighbors heard the fight. Dong-eun threatened to expose the past to the education office, which would ruin Chul-song's exam results. That night, the boy called his father home, but the house was filled with lilies, triggering a severe asthma attack. To ensure her own future, the teacher needed her husband dead before the scandal broke. Not long after, the homeroom teacher died. Only then was the ambulance called. She pretended to be a grieving widow. With the teacher eliminated, Dong-eun moved on to Myung-oh, promising to help him get something back. Myung-oh lived miserably, beaten and humiliated by Jae-jun daily. He met her in an abandoned building and gave her some of Jae-jun's hair. She revealed that the student Soo-hee, who had fallen from the rooftop years ago, did not commit suicide. She had been there. The next day, Myung-oh brought Sarah's drug ledger. In return, she sent him to the morgue to gather information about Soo-hee. He learned that the family never accepted the suicide ruling, and the body had remained unclaimed for 18 years. When he learned from her that Yenjin was the murderer, he screamed. He realized he could extort her for a fortune. He bought a one-way ticket to flee abroad, planning to meet them one by one before leaving. But someone silenced him. Who was the killer? The once bullied girl now appeared stunning at the alumni reunion. She even smiled at the bullies as if greeting old friends. When Yenjin went on stage, Dong-eun heckled her, confusing everyone. After the event, Yenjin slapped her. She wasn't angry. She even complimented her swimsuit figure. Back in high school, Jae-jun had beaten a classmate for teasing him about colorblindness, so she photographed Yenjin's daughter at the eye clinic. The next day, Jae-jun received an anonymous package, the girl's toothbrush. He performed a DNA test. It confirmed she was his daughter. He waited outside the school the next day. Seeing his daughter ignore a green light, he realized she inherited his colorblindness. Overcome with emotion, he hugged her and vowed to protect her. He asked a lawyer about taking custody, but was told he had no legal grounds unless the parents divorced. This sparked hope. Meanwhile, Dong-eun confronted Sarah, saying she had evidence of her drug use. She demanded a bag full of US dollars. Sarah delivered it, but she still refused to let her go, telling her to live in fear. Then she targeted Haijong. She had Haijong's phone secretly swapped and went through her photos. There were pictures with multiple men. Haijong eventually snagged a wealthy fiancé, but when she called Jae-jun to choose her wedding dress, he mocked her age. Her future mother-in-law made her undergo a fertility exam, barely hiding her disdain. Suddenly, the future mother-in-law lit up with excitement. It was Dong-eun. Seeing her terrified Haijong, the mother-in-law's face turned cold with disgust. Haijong dragged her into a temple corner and knelt, begging forgiveness. She claimed she was just forced into a small mistake. She lit an incense stick and said this wasn't a mistake. It was evil. She tossed Haijong's phone back, saying she held all the evidence of her messy private life. From then on, Haijong had to act as her servant. Yenjin's husband eventually discovered the truth. His wife had knowingly married him while pregnant with another man's child. Enraged, he almost strangled her but stopped for the daughter's sake. At the parent-teacher meeting, people wondered why an unmarried man, Jae-jun, was there. He joked about having an illegitimate child, then claimed he was just visiting a friend's class. When Dong-eun entered, Do-young realized she was his daughter's teacher. Learning she and his wife were former classmates, he sensed something was wrong. Later, he confronted her. Recalling seeing her trembling in the rain years ago, he had simply watched. Now she dared speak to him without fear. He grabbed her hand, blew on her scars mockingly. She warned him, if he wanted his daughter safe, he must cooperate. Terrified for his daughter, he agreed. That night Yenjin learned both her husband and Jae-jun attended the meeting. Panic struck. If her husband discovered the truth, she was finished. At the same time, Duyong met with Haijong. She spilled every detail of Yenjin's past cruelty. Shocked, he confronted his wife, who lied that she and Dong-eun weren't close. She insisted their marriage shouldn't be shaken by an outsider. The next day, Duyong met Dong-eun, asking if she approached him because of his wife. He expected it, but hearing her say yes still stung. Meanwhile, Yenjin tracked Dong-eun's home address and found it was right across from her mansion. From the rooftop, Dong-eun could see everything inside. Yenjin hired a locksmith to break in. Inside she found walls covered with photos. Everyone who had ever bullied Dong-eun. She felt a chill run down her spine. Just then, the door opened. She thought it was Dong-eun, but it was her husband. Both stood frozen. Dong-eun's revenge had reached its turning point.